Now broadcasting from the Next Gen Conservative Studio in sunny South Florida, bringing you the latest in politics, current events, and pop culture. This is the Whitfield Report with Sam Whitfield.
Well, good evening, folks, and welcome to the Whitfield Report. Rare Monday episode, but we're happy to be here nonetheless. So, as many of you may or may not know, a wrestling event called Ralph Mania, or as I like to call it, the Boghog Beatdown, because that's what it was as far as legal leads went, occurred on Saturday evening. And there were a couple people who asked, well, can you get Vicious Vickers on the stream? And the Vickers were busy on Saturday, I would imagine. But we have the man himself, the real champion of Ralph Mania, Mr. Vicious Vickers, the California coin merchant himself. And just to prove that Damio is actually right about me and that I'm on the Vickers payroll, I will once again show this beautiful piece of Mexican silver, which is more than the Boghog has himself at this point. I'm
pretty sure that coin's actually worth more than the shirt too.
Well, the shirt, the shirt itself, as I explained to people, when it came in the mail, it had like a mildewy smell, but I don't think that's because of Mr. Morris. I think that's because it, post offices and whatnot. But
the manufacturer, is pretty low quality.
Yeah, that's probably it. But anyway, welcome back to the show, Mr. Vickers. So just off the top of your head, I don't even know where to start. What were your expectations going into this fight?
So I was really confident, and I underplayed it a little bit on my my Friday show before Ralph Mania. I was pretty confident he was going to get served once. I was sort of confident it was going to happen twice. But I mean, I made plans for this. I'm not stupid. So the order of events basically was the legal order between Ralph and I exists. Ralph is incapable of following a court order that requires him to shut up or behave or be able to attack somebody without telling a lie. So the opportunity was there. My current so man, I suck right now, Sam. I'm sorry. I'm going to pull my shit together. Here we go. So my order, I went over it a couple weeks ago, is violations that include don't contact through other parties. And Gator, God bless him, had given me some proof that Ralph directed Gator to contact me and say certain things. This was after I reached out to Gator. So basically I had reached out to Gator when Gator and I weren't currently getting along. And Gator said, look at what Vickers is sending me. And Ralph said, tell him this. And Gator told me this. And so it's like, you can't do that. But shortly after that, Gator was like, well, fuck Ralph, and sent me a declaration. All I really needed from Gator was a declaration to say, this is who I am. And in these Discord logs, I'm this guy and Ralph is this other guy, and we're having a chat. And I've known Ralph since X date, everything else. So it's pretty simple. He was just verifying the authenticity of some logs. And then there's some other stuff. He called me a child abuser and a pedophile at some point on Twitter, which obviously, is outside of the rules. So what you do when that happens in cases like this is you don't really call the police. You have to file a order to show cause for contempt. And what that means is you're saying, hey, court, he's violated the order. That means he's in contempt of court because he's violated the order. contempt of court. It's a misdemeanor. Typically, there is a way to get felony contempt of court. This is not it. So don't anybody get, well, there's one felony maybe we can get excited about, but I got to figure out how to get the court to actually look at it. I'll come back around to that. You file the order to show cause for the contempt, and then it's in the court's hands, and the court looks at this and goes, okay, well, are we going to issue an order to show cause? I'm basically filing a declaration. My declaration is in support of contempt. And then the court looks at my declaration and says, is this enough that we create a court order that Ralph appears to show cause as to why he should not be convicted of contempt of court? So from the point that the court, at the point that the court actually issues the order, which they did somewhere in November, that's Ralph on the defense, or whoever gets it. That's them on the defense. The court saying, we have enough to say that you've committed contempt of court. You got to come in and defend yourself and say why you didn't, right? And there's like 3 or 4 defenses that you can use
right
on that. But in any case, got that done. And what surprised me about this right away when the court granted the order was that they served him via email and filed their own proof of service. My understanding when that was done was that you had to personally serve somebody with a order to show cause regarding contempt, because there's potential criminal penalties for contempt of court. But I was like, man, court knows better than me, so great. And of course, Ralph got this in email. He was reading it online, like on his show. He was going over these and talking about Gator the Traitor and everything else. And so when that was scheduled, that hearing was scheduled for December 2nd originally. I showed up via Zoom with my attorney on December 2nd, and Ralph was nowhere. Turned out he had filed a continuance by himself, right? He's self-represented, and his continuance says, my attorney won't take this case. I can't find an attorney who wants to take this case, which sounds really great for his side. But he didn't come to the hearing, right? Normally you're supposed to file a continuance. You're supposed to come to the hearing. So he didn't come to the hearing. So the court said, well, we're going to also file an order to show cause for failure to appear. Now, he got that question. I figured he would, because he did say that he emailed the court and tried to get a link for a Zoom meeting, because obviously he in Mexico and he can't, just pop on over to California. And he has every right under California law to appear by Zoom. So he did that, and he was able to prove it. Now, like every attorney in town, including mine, and I know well enough after the last 2.5 years, if you want to make a Zoom appearance, you should probably send an email request like a week before, just to make sure you have it. Because sometimes it takes them a day to see stuff. Like he requested that morning.
Yeah.
Like, can I have the link? And they didn't have time to respond to it. Nonetheless, he showed the effort. So the judge said, all right, well, we're going to vacate that order for the to show cause for the failure to appear. And then they reschedule. And of course, the other downside to not appearing at the hearing is that it puts all the power to reschedule in your opposition's hands. So my attorney and I were like, when they're asking, when do you want to reschedule? Like, as soon as possible. Let's do this. So they rescheduled for the 16th. 16th comes along, and Ralph does show to this one via Zoom. And the judge starts in with, were you served with these documents? And so Ralph says, I got them, but I got them via email, and I don't consider that adequate service because I believe I'm supposed to be personally served. It's a good argument, though probably a mistake to announce that you have all the documents. He was asked, so I guess he can't really lie. He can, plead the fifth or whatever, but no, he couldn't have. So anyway, that aside, Ralph's argument was justified. My attorney and I figured that he would make that argument that he didn't get personal service. So the judge said, all right, well, we're not going to throw it out, but we're going to extend this because obviously these guys thought, because the court, we served the documents and filed a proof of service, these guys obviously were under the impression that you've been served and that they didn't need to do that. So they were going to give them to the 20th of January to figure this out. Now, this is also the judge giving us a chance to possibly do constructive service, and there's ways around it. There's all kinds of ways around it. But of course, as soon as the hearing was done, and Ralph was taking his, Twitter victory lap, saying that he was one step ahead and everything else, I'm already telling my attorney, I know where he's going to be on one specific date at one specific time.
One question I have to ask, and you might already be leading into this. There's been speculation that Ralph fled to Mexico specifically to avoid, being served.
I don't think he did, only because it's pretty easy. I tried to serve him with several things with the previous contempt charge when he was still in Richmond, and all he did was just not answer the door. That's really all he did. And I would have had to go through some pretty interesting lengths to have a process server wait until he leaves the home, and then they have to identify himself. It can be difficult if somebody wants to avoid service. One, it's not illegal to do it. It can work against you for several reasons. It's not illegal to do it. And you have to identify yourself if the server doesn't personally know who you are. And so it can get kind of tricky. So I don't think Mexico had anything to do necessarily with avoiding service. I think it was a benefit. But it may have been part of it. I think for the most part, it was Mexico is cheaper and he has more control over May. Combination of that, he's isolated her. So where's she going to go now? And that the A-logs won't find him and, leave diapers and corn on his doorstep, because that's terrifying shit. So that's my thoughts on Mexico, but definitely, he was definitely using it as a brag.
I want to jump in here because this is one of the few things I actually disagree with you on.
Who is this asshole that you let on, Sam?
He's no longer Genius Anus. According to Twitter, his new name is called Anus Man.
Anus Man.
I'm gonna get you a cape.
Everybody tells me I need a cape now from that. It's like, okay.
All right, I'm gonna chew antacid while Genius Anus talks.
You and me both, brother. That fucking Tex-Mex food, man. I'm telling you. But I completely disagree with that. I think that it may not be specifically to avoid service, but him moving to Mexico is totally him hiding from the American legal system. It's a contingency plan for him. He knows that he doesn't have hardly a snowball's chance in hell. He's like preying on the American legal system to be as slow moving and as ineffectual as fucking possible, like it normally is, because this is Ralph's MO for his entire history, all the way back to the thing that Jim put in the fucking grave before he went to the grave himself. Like, Ralph has always worked and survived by being that little bit of maggot-infested shit that gets smushed out of the gears that are slowly turning. So it's never quite smashed in the gears. It just comes out around it. And what he's doing with Mexico is he's fucking hiding there because, A, it makes it more difficult to serve him with American legal system papers. It makes it harder to serve him. Plus, when shit goes tits up for him legally, which he absolutely knows is the most likely scenario, that he's just going to get absolutely fucked on the legal side of things. The American legal system is going to be too lazy. They've already been lazy. We've already seen it. Like Faith trying to get the district attorneys to do their job in California and in Richmond, all these different places. They already dragged their feet. They already don't want to fucking deal with this white trash shit. How much more are they going to want to deal with it when he's in fucking Mexico? And he is banking on that. He knows that's the only thing that he can survive on, is the fact that the American justice system is so slow and lazy that they're not going to actually go through the process to extract him from Mexico. And whenever that happens, he's just going to say, well, I guess you look at me, America first, but Mexico second. Ha ha, you can't touch me now, and I'm no longer paying child support. What are they going to do? Extradite me from Mexico to get my child support? And of course, is the American justice system going to do that? Fuck no.
The good thing is the child support thing's a pretty easy fix, because you can still lien bank accounts and all kinds of stuff. Now, if he just vanishes though, and he doesn't pop his head up and he, keeps using stuff like Cash Apping, other
but he has a
stuff.
Swedish bank account at this point. He's figured out some back alleyway to get one of those fucking.
So the Sweden went, you don't have enough to put in our accounts. Anyway,
he's probably got some lame motherfucker like Cisco to fucking hold on to it for him, so it's not in his name.
Yeah. Don't talk about Pansy like that. So.
Well, it can't be her. They're legally married now. He can no longer bury shit in her and not have it found.
That's true. Yeah, that's true. As he becomes community property. So,
just like her. I mean, oof.
Yeah, no, the marriage is going to blow up in his face too, just like everything else does. But so that was the 16th continuance to the 20th. And on the ride home, like I'm talking to my wife on the phone and saying, all right, well, we know that Ralph-A-Mania is going to be happening. So I got to, track down the county because it's usually the sheriff's department that handles doing civil services. We'll see if they can go, because some counties are different, right? Some they're like, we'll go to somebody's residence, and they won't. And if it's not a resident, they won't even try to perform service. Fucking Gloucester County, though. Let's talk about that. That was the first route, right? The first route was to start reaching out to Gloucester, and then almost immediately, started posting on Twitter, hey, if anybody's going to be there and wants to do it, because as far as California rules, and that's where the court of jurisdiction is, for a service to be effective, it only needs to be someone who's over the age of 18, not involved with the case. That's it. That's the only requirement to perform a service. You have to say, so-and-so, or you either you know them, you watch them identify them to themselves in some other way, like getting in front of a microphone and saying, I'm Ethan Ralph. This is my event. That counts. Like if you witness that and you heard it, then you know he's Ethan Ralph, and you can they don't have to take the papers, right? They can be in an envelope that has their name on it. They can be loose. You just have to put them down in the vicinity of the person. You can literally leave them at their feet. You can watch them destroy the papers. It doesn't matter. They've been effectively served within what California calls the law. So that part of it's pretty easy. But so immediately I had some people reaching out, and they were like, we're going to try it. And, some of that I think got passed around. So many people were talking about just serve them at Ralph-A-Mania, just serve them at Ralph-A-Mania. So Ralph hears this, and then Ralph just starts melting down his own. He just starts making his own event so much more complicated. Like, I'm not going to show the venue until the last minute. You're not going to send out the emails until the day before. People are going to be searched. There's going to be metal detectors. Did anybody confirm whether there were metal detectors at the event or not? And people were getting fucking whoop scanned. I don't know, but
I saw photos, but I don't know if they were actually. I don't know if they actually worked or if they just
or they were just dustbusters that had different stickers on them.
Because
according to Pod Awful's goons, there was no security check whatsoever. They were just letting people in, checking if they had a ticket, and that was it.
Yeah,
that's what I heard.
Yeah, I saw something on like Pod Awful's Facebook group that they had. I guess from what I understand, they had they did have like metal detectors, but they weren't on or whatnot. So they were literally just for show which, I don't know why you would have metal detectors just for show, but
well, I mean, he may have been worried people were going.
Ralph was talking on one of the kill streams where he was online trying to order one of those fucking handheld ones. He's like, oh, this is the most expensive. It's got to be the best. I bet you if you say there was metal detectors, but they weren't turned on, I bet you he just got some official looking tape and wrote metal detector on it, all fucking misspelled, and taped it to a fucking door frame so that people thought it was a metal detector.
Get one of the old school fucking turn top embossing label makers.
He had an American First artist standing there in the corner whose only job was just to occasionally go beep 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 beep.
Yeah. So, but the problem is, it's like, okay, use
funny.
your head.
This metal detector only detects metal on female guests.
But it's funny. It's like, okay, so use your head. Now you're announcing that you're going to be actively taking steps to avoid getting these papers sent to you, which just means that people are going to want to get creative and possibly hilariously creative. Anyway, but while that's being worked out and people are, you got to find a person who's willing to put their name on the document, which, I have to file that one. I only need one proof of service. So if I get Gloucester County's back in the mail before Friday is the hearing. So if I get that back before Friday, I'll file that. I do not need to have a physical copy to file it. It's one of the many legal documents that can be filed or, filed by fax, or just I can email it to them and they can file it. Plus I have it on video several times that it happened. That's not a real proof of service. I don't think anybody would take that, but it doesn't matter. I already have one back from the individual who did one of the services. But Gloucester, this is what was so funny. Gloucester got back to me right away. I emailed them and they emailed me that day, like probably an hour after. And I explained to him the whole situation. I'm like, I got a guy who's avoiding service. He's expatriated to Mexico. He is going to be at this location doing this event. And I don't know what time yet, but that's definitely the day and the place that he's going to be. Is this something you can help me with? And it's going to be on a Saturday. It's probably going to be in the evening. And they're like, yeah, we can totally do that. I'm like, oh, what do you need? They're like, well, just, give us all the information about the individual. Send us a check for $32. $32 fucking dollars. Woo! Bargain. And we'll roll them out, as soon as you can confirm a time. So I sent all that stuff to them in the mail. They got it like 2 days later. And just the day that they got it, Harry had kind of helped me figure out. He hadn't helped me at that time. We hadn't communicated directly, but he kind of announced, or he told Faith, maybe, I don't know. Anyway, the point was, we had looked up the All-Star Atlantic promoters, and they had held other events at the same location at this Post 133 place. And those had all started like doors open at 6 or 6:30. Show begins at 7. And then usually goes a couple hours. So I went ahead and told Gloucester County, I said, he'll be there between 7 and 9. I said, he will be drinking. I guarantee. He has a felony for assaulting police officers. There are people there who are, there's going to be people there of anti-police sentiment. And, just be cautious. And so they were really interested in that. So they actually called me beforehand to get some more information. And you know what I did? I did what I always do. And I just told the fucking truth. And since I told the truth, that's why they rolled in there with 3 fucking units and 3 big cops, right? Because who knows what the fuck is going to happen. Now, thankfully, it's American First Manlet faggots who sorry, Sam. I'm not going to use, not that you're of that persuasion. I'm saying I don't want to get your stream tank.
It's okay. No, that's their pronoun.
It's okay. It's okay. We can
edit it out later. But it's America First, tiny little boys who talk really tough when no one's around. But I noticed that when the cops were rolling in there, nobody was getting in the cops' faces, and it wasn't until that fucking door closed behind them that everybody was going, "Ooh," and Ralph was like, "Fuck the police." I would have loved for them to walk back in like, "What? Did you say something?" and just watch what happens, because it wouldn't have gone the same way.
Yeah.
So yeah, fuck the police. But no, don't fuck the police. Thank the police, because that was that was incredible service for $32. That's like, what, $10.20 per cop or something to roll on in there. That didn't even recover their gas money, probably, to roll that many units out. What I did not plan on, and what I thought was just so fucking fabulous, was the fact that they showed up minutes after he started the live stream. I mean, you can't get any better than that.
You couldn't have predicted that either, because he started the live stream literally an hour fucking late.
Yeah.
And they still nailed him right at the beginning. It's like they were waiting.
Yeah, well, and it means too that they took me completely literally, and they showed up right between 7 and 9 at 8 o'clock. So that was happening, but like in the background, the other stuff was being set up. So I'm being, told, just on the last day by people, okay, we got everything ready to go. they had stashed fucking papers in. There were people who showed up on Tuesday before the event, the Tuesday of that week. They showed up ahead of time.
A little bit earlier than that too. I'm just saying.
Probably early. Just to check everything out. And because somebody announces that if anybody tries to give me shit that I don't want, they're gonna be kicked out. So they're like, okay, well, we'll just hide the shit there beforehand. So they had documents. I'm sure people have seen the pictures on Twitter. They had documents hiding in a toilet in plastic.
Which again, that is completely Pod Awful's style.
That was beautiful.
It wasn't just Pod Awful though. I want to tell just a little snippet of behind the scenes shit that most people don't know. Pod Awful kind of mentioned it on his show, and I know me and Vickers have mentioned it to each other. Our Confederates were fucking running into each other doing this shit. Like, there were multiple groups, insulated groups that were working on this, and our Confederates were actually running into each other at the event, before the event.
Yeah, I was getting phone calls like right after. I was getting phone calls right after it happened from people who were like, I couldn't even understand because they were fucking laughing so hard. It's
dude, like, one of my Confederates is like, I was about to serve him, and then somebody else walked up to him and served him first. I'm like, holy shit!
I understand. I didn't even. I mean, the effort. And so, you know, I always like to tell the truth, and I like I said a couple weeks ago, I played it down, but I said I'm not gonna, you know, put in a lot of effort into getting the service done, and I didn't have to. Right? The police was 2 emails and a fucking priority mail envelope, and then one more response email. It costs, and the $32 money order. Low effort, people. That did not take. That's not a lot of work. And then the other people was just like, I mean, I had emailed these documents to multiple people. They're not wet signature documents. They don't require, these ones don't require a wet signature from like a court to be served. They can be photocopies. So I don't know how many, by the time it came around, hundreds of people had just spread these documents everywhere and like, hey, let's have some fun. From that point,
unlike wedding licenses in New Jersey, they don't take 3 days to set up.
Right. And so from that point, like nothing was in my control. I was getting reports back from a few people, and I believe it was in the hands of more people than even I knew of. So it was really low effort on my part, which is so funny considering the amount of effort that was put into avoiding it. Right? All fucking useless. Congratulations.
Well, he didn't even follow through on it because, again, he wasn't doing anything but checking tickets at the door.
Well, and so yeah, so that the cops did it, and then the personal service did. I think it was the toilet papers that were served, and I could be wrong. I'm just going off what I kind of heard. Toilet papers were served next, and he starts going, "You can't serve me twice, you dumb motherfucker, or dumb F word, or whatever. You can't serve me." Yeah, you can't. Here's the problem: when you have somebody who you know is going to try to avoid it, right? There's no guarantee. If those cops came in and Ralph decided to make some kind of squat run and do his thing and get out the back door, right? He could, and the cops probably would. They're not going to take the effort to chase him down unless they see him leave and assume he's doing something else. They're not going to chase him down for a personal service, right? They might assume, well, that guy has a bunch of cocaine on him. Let's get him. Or he has something else to hide, right? Because he sees the police and takes off. But if the moment Dalton would have said, "Hey, there's cops outside I saw when I was having a smoke," and Ethan would have been like, "I got to go take a 3-hour shit," he wouldn't have been served. The cops would have not put that much effort into it, and they would have left. It would have been a reasonable attempt at service. But
instead, what Ralph should have done is, "Hi, my name's Ethan Ralph, and this is Jackass. Watch this."
Well, what he should have done is he should have just fucking at the 16th hearing said, "I'll take this as an effective service, and let's go ahead and move forward," because then he would have at least saved the humiliation at his own event of being served 1,000 times or however fucking many it was. Felt like 1,000 to me. I mean, every one that happened put a smile and a song in my heart.
Did he even have a lawyer at that hearing?
No, he's not. He's self-representing. Remember, his lawyer will not.
Oh yeah,
Will not represent him for this hearing. which always bodes well. I mean, it should fill you with confidence when your own attorney's like, nah, I'll pass on this one. You want extra money? I got a full caseload, buddy.
Too bad he burnt bridges with that one lawyer that would have taken it just as a funny that was representing them burning pro bono. You know, that'd probably come in fucking handy right about now.
Yeah, but what about the super powerful Manhattan attorney? Where's is that guy giving advice?
Well, I imagine
the Akiba or whatever.
No,
Akiba. There's a law tuber that tried to. I think he tried to buy the registered trademark to Kiwi Farms. He was fucking with the Kiwi Farms with something, and it's like Akiva Cohen or something like that.
Oh,
he might take Ralph's case. Abernathy will in a couple of fucking lifetime sentences.
Well, I just imagined his poor lawyer, the one he has, is like, how many legal troubles does this guy have? He's always.
I always imagine his lawyer is Jim Carrey from Liar Liar at the very end when he's just fucking fed up with everything. There's a guy that all throughout the movie is constantly having weird fucking legal problems. But yeah, he's on line one. He just picks up the phone and screams into it, "Stop breaking the law, asshole!"
Yeah, that's essentially what it is. It's like it's the easiest thing to do. Is just
people just shut the fuck up.
And it's like you can talk shit, right? As long as the shit talking is within a very specific like realm. Like just, I mean, if he said Vickers is overweight, wears a XXL shirt, and his beard's turning gray. All right, you got me. You know, but it's true. So there's not much I can say about it.
All I do is shut the fuck up, grumble every once in a while. Yeah, I would show you a picture of my son, but I'm legally not allowed. I can't talk about that because I'm legally not allowed. Move on with his day and start hollering about
something else.
Fat online porn stars that he hired 3 hours before the show for his little wrestle.
Yeah.
God, I hope Cisco's wrestling career is everything he hoped it would be. God, I hope.
Oh, fuck. I forgot it was Cisco.
Well, with that,
I had to until I was literally on Sam's show and Max is like, "Hey, Ralph's tweeting about somebody and I think it's you," and I'm like, "What?"
Dude, I was so Sammy, you have no idea with that because a lot of the Cisco stuff, like we haven't talked about. Yeah, we're gonna if we don't cover it here, even if we do cover it here, we're gonna cover it on Thursday again. Oh, Cisco-licious, baby! I had forgotten that guy existed, and then Ralph. Just so desperate for the win.
I mean, it was one of those things where, as I passed him off to you, and everything per his request.
On his request, yeah. I want to talk to Vickers about how to protect my family. I'm like, it sounds weird.
The only thing we talked about in relation to Cisco is we were both like, we did the sniff test on him, and we were both like, seems kind of sketch, but might as well give him what advice we can. There's nothing he could do harmful with advice. I mean,
well, because let's be fair. If he's actually legitimately like hanging out with Ethan Ralph at barbecues and everything else, I mean, he probably had a helmet. Yeah, he probably had a helmet he had to wear in grammar school so that he didn't run the walls and shit. He's probably on that level. But that's like a whole other story. So anyway, that's the background I can give. I'll drone on and on, Sam. So you kind of try to direct my spurgery into the right direction.
So yeah, apparently, I mean, we might as well talk about the whole Michael Cisco thing because the day on Sunday, so yesterday, Max Sand sent me a link to. Well, he tweeted out a link to this Reddit post, and usually I don't pay attention to Reddit, but apparently this event made like one of the big like pro wrestling subreddits that's out there. So let me see if I can
to answer your question for how it had a little help from some friends.
Yeah, so
we may or may not have done a little cross promotion on behalf of our buddy Ralph.
Yeah, so
maybe just a little bit.
This comes from r/squared circle, which I guess is a wrestling podcast or something. But the headline is Wrestler experiences rape her chance at America First wrestling event held by Sunset Wrestling and Michael Sisko. So my first question to you, Mr. Vickers, would be, who the hell is Michael Sisko, and what has your interaction been with him?
Okay, so honestly, I'm going to take the Vickers, but Genius Anus made first contact, and he's going to be actually much more like, he's the better person to ask on this, because that was where first contact was. I've taken a couple stupid little Twitter shots at Sisko just because, like I said, I think he has a 3rd grade education and he's probably legitimately mentally retarded on some level. But Genius Anus made first contact, and I mean, it's not even. Genius Anus is his own person who does his own shit and everything else. So he was trying to contact this guy for completely unrelated, at least to me, stuff. It didn't reach out to me until Sisko asked him to see if like he could set up this big mafia fucking meeting or whatever was in his mind on email. So I'm going to let Genius Anus take it away. I'll be right back.
Okay, yeah, and that is one thing I want to stress. Like, me and Vickers are kind of buddy in our talking and everything. We're fucking independent and have been the whole time. And there's a lot of time, like, for one thing, people are like, "Oh, I can't believe Vickers does this and that." And I've talked to a lot of people where I'm just like, "Yeah, you know, I told him that. Why didn't he listen? I thought you two are like big buds." I was like, "We buddy around on the internet. We're pretty independent, though." I could tell him, "Hey, that sounds stupid," but he could tell me to fuck off.
Well, yeah.
And that's kind of a back and forth thing. That's a two-way road with me and him. Every once in a while, we swap stories. Like, if I see a tweet or something, I'll link it to him. If he sees something, he'll send it to me. And we kind of share resources like that. But we're mostly operating independent, which is also how our Confederates end up running into each other.
Yeah,
there's people that'll be dealing directly with him that I don't know about, and then there's people that are dealing directly with me that he doesn't know about. And every once in a while, I catch wind of them crossing the streams, and it's really surreal. I guess it'll fucking work for it. But all right. So Michael Sisko, how does he come into this? He comes into this because I reached out to him, as I've done before with people related in close relation to Ralph. I check to see if they'll talk to me. And one thing I want to point out is I have to do this in such a way to where if they are going to gay out me, which is honestly what I'm expecting, whenever I'm reaching out to somebody that's in relation to Ethan Ralph, I automatically expect them to be trying to fuck me over or gay out me or whatever, because that's just the nature of the fucking game. That's the nature of the business. So when you're in, me and Sisko were not past the fucking vetting phase in any of the messages that you're going to fucking see. And the reason I say that is because I don't exactly tell the truth when I'm talking to him. And I guess I'm showing kind of the behind the scenes of how the sausage is made. When I first made contact with somebody, I'm not necessarily telling the truth all the fucking time. And should be obvious. Like in the first big paragraph I sent him, I talked very long-windedly about how I don't burn my sources, but then in that same paragraph I say, "Oh yeah, I'd helped Gator and I helped Flamenco." First off, I've never talked to Gator, and second off,
you said you offered to help them. Oh, but if you hadn't, then you had. I mean, that's all. You never said you actually. Anyway, you just said you had offered.
Yeah, I bring up Gator and Flamenco, and I make it sound like they were people that I'd helped in the past and associated with Ralph. I've never talked to Gator, and I think I reached out to Flamenco, and he told me to fucking kick rocks. So, but the common sense thing there is when somebody says, "I don't burn sources, but hey, here's two people that I've sourced in the past," fucking red, ding, 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 red alert. That's a retard alert. So, but man, it's whatever, because both retards that were one retard looking over the other retard's fucking shoulder, hook, line, and sinker, they took it. "Oh my God, Gator was with the anus man. Holy shit." Me and Gator never talked. The last time I talked to Gator, Spike Club was still a fucking thing. To get back into the fucking history of it. And I can't remember if we were friendly when we talked then or not. because that's multiple fucking screen names ago. But anyway, so Cisco basically went through it. He's like, yeah, I've got a lot invested into Ralphomania.
I'm sorry. To be clear, I'm only going off of the stuff that's been posted publicly. Like, I have no other internal knowledge of Genius Anus's conversation other than what he's posted out on Twitter, and obviously the very brief conversations between us when we're like, well, I'm gonna let him keep it.
Yeah, where we're like, does this smell like shit to you? Yeah, it smells like shit. Okay.
Oh, God,
and to be fair, what I've published thus far is basically it. I mean, I've read through it, and again, he probably would have gotten away with some of the shit, like the whole Ralph directing him to contact you, using a third party to contact you via another third party. I didn't catch that when it first fucking happened. It wasn't until Ralph made that tweet and you asked me to review that where I was like, you know what?
Yeah.
Oh my God, that motherfucker tried to contact you through me. So they double shot themselves in the fucking foot, because I completely missed that in my communication with Cisco.
Well, and here's what's so funny about that. Ralph waking up and sobering up and going, fuck. Well, I better say that I never directed him to contact Vickers. Okay, but you were obviously working with him, right, to do this contact. So unless Cisco actually did want to talk to me about the exact same shit that he was talking to you about and talking to Gator about, the exact same narrative, I just think that May and Ralph's relationship is toxic. It is. That's what's so funny about this too, is the story that Cisco breaks down is literally the truth.
Yeah.
As everybody else.
I'm curious too, and I haven't figured it out yet. I know Gator has responded on post or whatever. But
yeah, Gator posted 100% of the DMs he had with Cisco. Boom. Gator's advice.
When was the first message with him? When was Cisco first in contact with Gator?
It would have been after he talked to me, which is what's so funny. Okay,
so it's after me, because my first communication with Cisco was on December 21st.
Okay.
So
yeah. No, it's basically from what we can see, he went to you, then
I went to him.
Or you went to him, and then he responded to you, and then this because he didn't contact. If Ralph's saying I only asked Cisco, and he fucking admitted to this, which he should have never done. He just shouldn't have talked about it again. But for some reason, he thinks Twitter's a court of law, and like, I'm gonna believe anything he says that he tweets, other than going, well, this is so beyond the pale stupid bullshit. You reached out to Cisco. Cisco shared that very first message with Ralph. That's the message that Ralph posted on Twitter. Great job. And then the next thing you know, Cisco is going back and forth with you. And then before Gator is even a thought, he wants to talk to me for some weird reasons, right? Not the least of which I want to wait to do the separation. Hang on. I got to don my best sped voice. I want to wait to do my separation from Ralph until after WrestleMania. After WrestleMania. Because
he is going to talk about how we need to rape women again.
Yes,
and then I'm going to kickstart my indie wrestling career.
First of all, that was the first thing. Like, okay, so we're supposed to believe that Cisco wants to talk to me, right, of his own accord, and he wants to talk to me without being directed to Ralph, by which Ralph has already said he directed Cisco to talk to Genius Anus. So then it's Cisco's gonna have to admit, probably in a court of law. We'll see what happens on Friday.
I mean, he could lie. He could perjure himself.
He could perjure himself, and what's going to be funny is just him in front. So on Friday, right? What's probably going to happen is this is just a review hearing, right? It's just a review hearing for the contempt. The judge is going to be like, "How many witnesses do you guys want?" Ralph, do you still need an attorney? Because Ralph's not going to show up with an attorney, I don't believe. If he shows up all of a sudden with his attorney on the 16th, it's like, but I thought she wasn't going to take your case, and there's already one part of perjury, fucking perjury, which is a felony, by the way, on Ralph's continuation form. If he was also lying about his attorney won't take the case, that'll be a question that comes up.
Ralph's new attorney is going to be the fucking Frito Bandito.
If he doesn't have, oh shit, they have to be licensed. They have to be licensed in Nevada County, or they have to have the right to Nevada County. They have to be licensed in California and go with the county anyway.
Well, I mean, according to Avenatti, that may not be too hard to do.
Oh man, yeah. Okay, so the most likely thing is he won't have an attorney, and the court's going to say, okay, well, why we're getting this set up, you have X amount of time to find an attorney. If you do not find an attorney in X amount of time, we're going to assign you an attorney. We're going to assign you a public defender unless you choose to represent yourself, like unless that's your choice. But if you're looking for an attorney and you can't find an attorney, that's only going to go so long, and then we're just going to give your ass a public defender. Public defender is not necessarily going to be free. Then he's going to have to turn his financials. If he requests a free public defender, he's going to have to prove that he can't afford one. If he can't prove that he can't afford one, he's going to have to pay for it. So either way, he's paying for an attorney unless he goes, I'm going to represent myself. And the judge is probably going to be like, are you sure? You shouldn't, right? And so that's probably what's going to happen. In between that time, if Cisco needs a subpoena, that'll happen, because I would love to see how the third grade education halfwit actually handles being deposed by my attorney, who Ralph still hasn't actually been deposed by. And it's not going to be fun if it happens. It's just not going to be a good time. Anyway, so that's what's happening after the 16th. But if the order of operations is Genius Anus reaches out to Cisco takes that message and shows it to Ralph before Cisco even reads it, because you can still see at the bottom of the screenshot, it still says, accept Genius Anus's, message. He won't see that you've accepted it unless you do. So he hasn't even accepted the message before he sent this to Ralph at some point.
Which means that the conversation was, hey, I got this. Do you want me to respond?
Exactly. And so these guys are by Ralph's own admission, we've been working these people for weeks, right? So you're working with Cisco to get what out of Genius Anus? What are you going to get from Genius Anus that's going to help your side at all? Well, nothing. So what do you do naturally? Well, we know Genius Anus talks to Vickers, so let's see if Genius Anus can get something out of Vickers. So at that point, I start hearing from Genius Anus with like, hey, I've been talking to Cisco, and I'm not going to go into everything we've been talking about, but he wants to have a conversation with you. I'm like, what? He has to be blocked everywhere. Everybody knows how to get in contact with me. I don't why? But okay. So Genius Anus, did he had to set up a Proton Mail account, right? And then you had to,
and then he forgot the password, and then he lost your email response because he forgot his password, had to reset it, and Proton Mail encrypts the messages. And if you reset your password, it just fucking deletes them.
Awesome. So, oh gosh, here, let me pull this up real quick, because I got these messages. They can't be far here. What the fuck was his? It was like Palama Respecter or something. Yep.
Yeah, it was some Roman Christian, I don't know, fucking bullshit thing.
Yeah, because he's super Christian. Hey, Cisco, you're super Christian being best friends with a convicted sex offender. Good job, buddy.
Well,
I mean, their mantra is Christ is King.
I'm not really sure if you could call this a defense, but for what it's worth, I mean, this was the only wrestling event I saw where people were yelling Christ as King as two people were beating,
yeah, I mean, there was all kinds of shit. There was Christ is King. There was Rape Her. There was I Can't Breathe. These two black guys were beating up each other. It was wholesome. I mean, I was surprised there weren't more kids there. I don't know where Rosie was. But,
I can't believe he didn't do his bowling alley catchphrase, but then again, I figured if he yelled, arrest him, he would be afraid that they would just take him.
Yeah. All right. So Genius Anus sends me this email address, and that fails, and then he sends me another one. And basically, this is like we didn't talk a whole lot about it other than I don't see what the harm is in reaching out, because let's face it, people are, wanting to get away from Ralph left, right, and center. So maybe it's true, but it's like all I do when I reach out to people, it's like there's no op or anything on my side. It's just like I just be myself. And if somebody
to me,
needs help,
it made sense that he would want to reach out to you, because if he's watched what happened with Gator, maybe he's like, I want to leave quietly, but maybe if I have like a sworn statement that I can give to Vickers, if Ralph wants to try to lie for an HMB, I could be like, you know what, buddy, if you do that, then I'm going to go ahead and give Vickers a sworn statement.
That's the only tactic that I can think of. But it's the whole, I want to see if I can jumpstart my wrestling career. That kind of made me like, okay. So like either way, like he's either legit and still kind of, the gentle retard type. And you're like, well, and this is why, like Genie's saying, it's not, we didn't go all over the place and tell a bunch of people, oh, Cisco's about to leave. Because one, either he's full of shit, right? Which, hey, look at what happened. Or two, he's being honest and he actually does want to get out, and then it would be mean to out him, beforehand and just give the best advice. So I lead out with Mr. Cisco. This is Matthew Vickers. I used my business email so there wouldn't be any question of my identity. Genius Anus reached out to me saying that you had some questions for me and has asked that I contact you. Happy to answer whatever I can. This email is the best way to contact me, but there are other methods if you want. I would have given him my cell phone number if he wanted to text me. Who cares? It's out there. Regards, Matthew Vickers. The great Pet Man Boy responded, Mr. Vickers, thank you for reaching out. I found myself in quite the precarious position with Ethan Ralph. After Ralphomania, I'm hoping to distance myself from him. I've put a lot of work into learning to wrestle. Sorry, that line alone is fucking comedy gold. I've put a lot of work into learning to wrestle. However,
I've got a better one. I've got a better one that I released today. The one where he said he spent thousands of dollars learning how to wrestle.
On training?
Yeah.
Wow. It's funny because I see a bunch of 5-year-olds do the same thing after they watch some of the WWE shit. Anyway, however, things are very tense between Ethan and Amanda.
I mean, what'd he do? Buy a trampoline and invite all the neighborhood kids over?
Yeah. It's $1,000 trampoline. That's it. And he beat the shit out of those kids. Ethan, there's very tense between Ethan and Amanda, and Ethan has hinted at more potential criminal charges. Like, all of this is true. So far as I know, there are more potential criminal charges, a shitload more coming. So, like, I don't know where the own is. Anyway, initially I gave him the benefit of the doubt, but his pattern of destructive behavior seems to be continuing. I want to separate myself, hopefully peacefully, but I understand that isn't how it works with Ethan. I know that you're experienced in protecting your family from me. I'm sorry. I know that you're experienced in protecting your family from Ethan's out-in-person threats. What advice do you have for when his wrath is turned towards me? Have you helped others in a similar situation? That last line, by the way, have you helped others in a similar situation, is totally fucking fishing. Thank you, Michael Cisco. Oh, God. Okay. I'm going to read my response much faster because it's longer, because I'm a long-winded motherfucker. Mr. Cisco, let me be. And by the way, this is the advice I would have given any human being who asked me the same question, and it should be obvious. And this is the sick own. This is like the big info dump that they get behind the scenes. This is the Ralph win, and I don't know how. Mr. Cisco, let me begin with a disclaimer that this email is in no way to be received as a directive to contact Ralph on my behalf, as I am prohibited from doing so by a mutual stipulation order signed between Ralph and I in September of 2021. So right off the bat, this is not what this is. I am telling you that I'm not violating the order. With that out of the way, I'm sorry to hear about your precarious position, but wish that I could say that I am surprised. My own situation with Ralph is unique and has provided me certain advantages as I've dealt with him these last 2.5 years. But I'll do my best to help with any advice that I can give. Disassociating from Ralph differs from person to person, but the efficacy of individual methods are primarily dependent on 2 factors. I'm going to make this writing bigger so I can see. Two factors. First, what activities you wish to continue that would normally involve Ralph. Second, how public you make the disassociation or may have to make the disassociation in the future. By the way, Sam, this is your show, so if you don't want me just reading a big email, just say "Shut up, Vickers," and I will.
No, I mean this is all pretty fascinating.
But it's comedy gold. I mean, the less of a fuss you make, the less aggression you can expect. Making the disassociating about just taking your life in a different direction is less likely to incite Ralph's anger. If you give him any hint or anyone that is likely to publicize your sentiments that the disassociation is due in any part to Ralph's actions or character, he will get angry, regardless of whether or not your reasons are warranted. In other words,
fucks me over because Vickers basically said, "Don't talk to Genius Sadist because he's going to want to publish what you say."
Sorry, buddy. We were both taking it so seriously, though. In other words, if you were moving on with your life and just don't have time for internet stuff anymore, I don't think that you're going to see a very aggressive reaction. Conversely, approaching Ralph with the concerns that you've listed in this email are going to draw immediate ire because any criticisms from Ralph, no matter how justified, will result in an explosive meltdown. You'll be a snake, you'll be disloyal, he'll tweet a picture of Steve Austin with the "Don't Trust Anyone" shirt, etc. If you plan to continue with your life online and or public and political affiliations, this may be unavoidable, especially in conservative movements. I mean, let's face it, there's really nothing traditionally conservative about how Ralph lives his life. And it's funny because I write that and I'm wondering, like, did he actually read that line and disagree with me? Did Michael Sisko, the pet boy mantard, read "there's really nothing traditionally conservative about how Ethan Ralph lives his life" and say, "I disagree with Vickers. Ethan is a paragon of Christian morality"? Anyway, moving on. The more public you are in these areas, the more likely you are to be asked about your affiliation with Ethan Ralph, and there is no answer that will help you without infuriating him. I can elaborate if you wish, but I think that you get the point, which is basically if you have to disavow, it's not going to go over well. As for my own experience protecting my family, I just thought that was such an incredible line, protecting my family. Like, I wrote some shit down and made some calls. Protect my family. I have a gun. That's how I protect my family. So if an actual physical threat appears, I shoot it. There's not much involved. Ethan Ralph, like most of these people online, is powerless. His threats are meaningless. I said above that my situation is unique, and that's because, unlike many people Ralph has become embattled with, I have no skeletons in my closet. Nothing I'm embarrassed for anyone to know about me or my life. My life has been, for the most part, a paragon of traditional Christian conservative values. Happily married 24 and a half years to one woman with whom I have 5 children. No criminal record, no scandals, no employer for Ralph to attack. In short, Ralph has no power over me, though he once threatened, and I obviously forgot to finish the rest of this sentence because that does not end right. Next paragraph. Conversely, all I've ever done is tell the truth about Ralph. He'll call me a liar, but won't point to a lie. Most importantly, between the two of us, only one cares about this online nonsense. I'll let y'all decide with your own brains who that is. The only real thing that I've done to protect my family is to make everyone I associate in real life aware of who Ralph is and what he or his followers are capable of. I'm on the local authority SWAT advisory list, so in the event of a swatting, law enforcement officers reach out to us first before they roll out the cavalry. Your background report is publicly available, so if you haven't been swatted, expect it to happen to your parents as well, as you've put them and have them put themselves on the same type of list. If you find yourself needing a civil harassment restraining order, establish a pattern of harassment first. You have to have between 2 to 3 instances where you tell Ralph not to contact you or not to defame, demean you online to establish a pattern. It's important to know that defaming, slanderous, demeaning, disparaging comments require an element of a lie. This is something that Ralph has yet to understand, and that's true. The only problem that you will have should legal orders become necessary is getting Ralph served with those orders. I have tips in this area, but can cross that bridge if the need arises. Almost done. The latest drama with the Morris family, it does not bode well for the future of Ralph and May's relationship, and a lot of what I'm seeing is following a very predictable pattern. My own daughter was only 18 when Ralph flew her across the country to live with him and his mother. I always make sure that I drive home, not to live with him, to live with him and his mother. She was only there for 4 months, and thank God it came to her senses to keep her baby safe. May is older, and I confess that despite her participation in the lies harassment, I have great worry about her and Rosie. That's also true. I hope that she comes to her senses before it's too late. Isolated in Mexico from friends and family is so dangerous for both of them. If you have any questions moving forward, I'm at your disposal. Good luck, Matt. Cisco responds, Mr. Vickers, thank you for reaching out. I found my... Oh, nope. Sorry. That was his original. He responds, this is helpful. I think I'll try and take the less public separation if possible. I said, well advised, try for the best, prepare for the worst. That is it. That is 100% of my communication with Michael Cisco. That is the win that Ralph is putting out there. The communications with Gator that Gator posted on Post, he did the same thing, 100% of them, and it's basically the same conversation. It's basically Gator saying close to, if not the exact same thing I did. I did not know, and I'm sure Genius Anus didn't know until Ralph's little super uber win tweet that we didn't even know that Gator had talked to Cisco.
No idea.
Yeah, because Cisco leads in with Gator. Cisco leads in with I've been talking to Mr. Vickers. So that's where the order goes. So after me, it's like, okay, well, there's nothing. Well, now I'll go to Gator. So Ralph has said he's only directed Cisco to talk to Genius Anus and Gator, except for Genius Anus was first. We all get that. And then Gator was third. So he's trying to pitch. Ralph should understand how unbelievably stupid this is. He's trying to pitch that he had nothing to do with Cisco asking Genius Anus. By the way, he's already said he helped direct the contact with Genius Anus, but within that
he worked both of us.
Yes.
They worked both of us.
Yes. But within that context, if you're working with Cisco in your communications with Genius Anus, and part of the communications with Genius Anus is how to get in touch with Vickers, and that you'd like to get in touch with Vickers, you necessarily were directing him getting in contact with Vickers. Fuck! I mean, it's... Yeah. So anyway, he should have never said, I absolutely did, just with Genius Anus and Gator, but he had to fucking admit to those two, which necessarily includes me. So anyway, it's funny whether or not like it'll hold up in court or prove, or Cisco. I mean, Cisco, you're only supposed to be able to plead the fifth if the answer will incriminate you. Technically, Cisco hasn't done anything illegal. Even if Ralph says, hey, contact them, I'm not allowed to, but you should contact them for me. Even though it's technically illegal for Ralph to do because it's contempt of court, it doesn't put Cisco in an illegal situation. Ralph himself can plead the fifth if he's asked, hey, did you direct Cisco to talk to try to get in touch with Vickers through Genius Anus? He will lie and say no, or he'll have to plead the fifth. It's going to be one of those two.
So that's my question here. So like Cisco hasn't done anything illegal per se.
Nothing illegal, just incredibly stupid.
At least not with you.
No, it's just don't send a third grader to make contacts and anyway, Genius Anus. I love Genius Anus's tweet where it's like it's a rare thing to happen when Vickers and I have to swap notes and scratch our heads and say, why not? we just were never seeing what the part of the reason we thought it might not be some kind of weird op is because we just didn't see the end game. We didn't see what the gain was. I don't know if Ralph is so convinced that I've pulled some kind of illegal stuff somewhere because that's just like what everybody does in his mind. But no, I don't know.
I will tell you this based on what I'm reading off this, subreddit and what I've heard from other, people. Now, I'm not a legal expert, but, this wrestler here, Brittany Jade or whatever, apparently she had no idea that, this was going to be the type of environment that it was, which
on that subreddit that you're in too, have you ran across the post of the other wrestler that was hired 3 hours before the event?
No, is that
Are you kidding me?
Check my timeline because I can't do it right now because I'm on the show.
I read that when I was going out to get a fucking Gatorade.
Yeah, pull up on my Twitter where I did the where I did the Reddit post, and there's a long post on there from somebody that was hired allegedly by Michael Cisco 3 hours before Ralphomania, and they were the ones that were experiencing racist remarks.
Well, my understanding of the whole thing with Brittany, with the whole Brittany Jade thing.
3 hours before the show, that was Eric Ekton.
Yeah,
HHE. Yeah, I wrestled on this card. Was contacted to wrestle there until wasn't contacted to wrestle there until 3 hours before the show. Hardly enough time to vet, what you're going to be doing. Was called an N-word lover and race traitor. He probably should have spelled that right. He spelled it like Trader Joe's. I think he meant traitor.
One of the things I want to point out with this too is these independent wrestling people are making sure that every time somebody new comes into this conversation and finds out about Ralphomania, the things they're passing around very, very thoroughly is Michael Cisco, Sunset Wrestling, Atlanta Association Wrestling or whatever, AAW.
Yeah, this is all falling on the pet tard. It's not. It's not going to fall back on Ralph.
Well, no, Ralph is in there, but I'm just saying. Everybody in if you look on my Twitter, I posted a thing where I basically told Cisco exactly that. I was like, Ralph is going to be able to run away to Mexico, and this whole motherfucking thing is going to blow up, and the people left here to deal with it are going to be the locals. I'm like, you're not going to get your wrestling career because Ralph is going to blow this motherfucker up to hell. And it's exactly what happened. I called it immediately.
I'm looking at your timeline right now. Which
it should be among the latest posts. The last 2 posts I've done.
It's like the second or third tweet down in the timeline.
Okay, okay.
So one where there's a bunch of screens.
Yeah, well, that's the entirety of Genius Anus's Twitter timeline, it seems. Let's see here. Okay.
Sorry, 5-year-old came in and needed a Hawaiian roll. So
hey,
dad things.
I
had to feed my child. I'm like, get out of here!
How dare you?
I'm on a fucking podcast. Get out of here before I hit you.
Well, the kids have to learn some way.
Don't you have a babysitting horse that can do that?
Me? No.
No, you just have a daughter that makes
Mary Cloppins.
You just have a daughter that makes cupcakes. Which by the way,
that's all she does. Faith, if you're listening, that's all you do is make fucking cupcakes. You raise Xander and you make cupcakes. But as long as I keep getting them cupcakes, we good. We square. Especially now that she's getting some child support.
Which by the way, Vickers, I did read that you apparently ripped the head off of her Barbie doll.
I did not. I was under the impression.
She was 7.
Was it 7? I thought she was like 5 or 6, but she was young enough that she cried, and I was like, oh, because I can't remember. I think she was being kind of a shit, and I was just doing like oh yeah, you're gonna keep doing that? Here's Barbie. Rip the head off. I thought Barbies would have. Okay, it was me. It was my brother. It was 5 male cousins, 4 younger than me, 1 older than me. The 4 younger on my mom's side, and the 1 older than me was on my dad's side. I did have 2 female cousins, but they were both way older than me. Well, one was. I just never saw them. One was way older than me, and then the other one was about my age, but I never saw them, certainly to enough where I learned anything about girl toys. So all my experience was just growing up around other dudes, other than my mom. And I never had access to a fucking Barbie doll. I had access to G.I. Joes and shit, and if anybody remembers G.I. Joes, 1 screw in the back, you could fucking interchange them all around and switch their arms and heads and everything else. So I figured this was like a ball.
And with enough bottle rockets to them, they could have a jetpack.
Yeah, that's like boys just destroy fucking toys on purpose, and it's how they learn mechanics. So I never really get mad at it, but I just figured Barbie's head was gonna pop right back on, and I was wrong. I was decidedly wrong.
Well, it does seem like they made toys a lot sturdier than they did when you were a kid versus when I was growing up and when Faith was.
Yeah, I mean, they still weren't as sturdy as like my parents' generation, you know, where there was the big fucking I remember my grandma always had some of my dad's old toys, big metal like dump trucks and earth movers and fucking just metal. Metal toys were the best.
Oh yeah, well, and when my grandparents were growing up, like all of the toys were metal basically during the World War II generation and all that.
That's just what you made stuff out of.
Yeah.
All right. Now I'm not talking about Barbie. All right, so we got Genius Anus's tweets here.
Turns out the indie wrestling scene, and by the way, Genius Anus, I want you to know that the chat thinks that your voice sounds like a South Park character or whatever.
Which one?
Which, I think I made that comment when I first met you.
I think we just found Genius Anus's like VTuber avatar is gonna be some kind of South
Dude, I've been
Park
waiting for somebody to try to make that for me. Like I want to who's the one that does, damn it, 5-Star Days. I want 5-Star Days, but I haven't been able to scratch together the money to pay him to do it, and I don't want him to do it for free. But as soon as I get around to being able to pay 5-Star Days, I'm going to have him redo my avatar.
Nice.
So I love this. Turns out the indie wrestling scene has caught wind of Ralph-a-Mania and the smelly sex offender running it by a mentally deficient gimp. Anus, that's not very nice. And they are not impressed.
Ralph shouldn't have let him out of the box, man.
And yeah, this pretty much sums up the whole entire subreddit. I have no idea who this is, and I intend to keep it that way. I clicked in here like, fucking who? And my takeaway is fucking nobody.
Yeah.
That pretty much sums up how the rest of the internet sees.
No, it's the rest of the world in general. Yeah.
Yeah. So, okay. Now here's what Anus was referring to. From Eric Ecton. I wrestled on this card. Wasn't contacted to wrestle there until 3 hours before the show. Was called an N-word lover and race traitor by the crowd because my partner is black. My partner got it even worse. We, the wrestlers the booker brought in, never even knew that Ethan Ralph existed until after the show. He never introduced himself to us, which is unprofessional in and of itself.
And usually his favorite thing to do because he wants to see who knows him.
Hi, I'm Ethan Ralph. I'm kind of a big deal.
Yeah, but I mean, if this guy was black, then
That's probably why he didn't. He's gonna end up in a Cracker Barrel lawsuit.
Oh, I have it on good authority. He actually likes black dudes. Visually.
No, that's not him. That's not true. It's not true, Vickers.
Well, I mean, I did point out on this subreddit because they were trying to say that Ethan Ralph was a Trump supporter, and I correctly pointed out on the sub that no, Ethan Ralph voted for Obama twice, so clearly he must like black men of some kind. Also, folks, look up Reggie Love,
and there's nothing wrong with that. Just don't hide it. That's all I say. That's what I say to the American First people too. It's like, you guys are so just. It's like that. Has everybody here seen Good Will Hunting at some point?
Yes.
All right. So
Applesauce.
Yeah, it's like you go back and forth with the hey. It's not your fault that you're gay. Shut up, man. Don't do that. It's not your fault. Shut up, man. Don't do that. That's just what I see with every American First is like, you just got to come to terms. You got to come to terms because nobody that hates women as much as these guys hate women doesn't do so without loving cock. That's just the fact of the matter. Beardson needs to come to fucking terms with it.
You just got to put your arm on their shoulder and be like, look bruh.
Yeah, just
puberty affects us all differently. Some of us are late bloomers. It's okay.
Yeah.
Some people like Ethan Ralph never bloomed. That's why you shouldn't put yourself on puberty blockers or a lot of trans fat.
Yeah.
Well, and then,
anyway, that's just my opinion.
And then I guess this is another wrestler was saying, Ralph's just mad I didn't acknowledge him in my post, which was an intentional choice. He already gets more than enough attention. Enjoy the court summons, pal. Oh, so maybe this was a wrestler. For those who want to see what other horrible things that were condoned, such as chants as I can't breathe, with 2 black wrestlers in the ring, you can check the archive link. Also, again, wanting to know, Atlantic All-Star Wrestling assisted with this event. So, yeah.
God, I hope Cisco's wrestling career was worth it. I hope it takes off for him.
Well, this just goes to show that you really ought to do, I guess you should dive a little more into who you're working with if you're going to be doing a wrestling promotion.
Well, I think, and I think even Genius Anus's communications with various people, they were clearly trying to keep that secret, right? Nobody. That's why if Ethan Ralph is so famous,
they were trying to tell everybody that the event was fucking sold out to increase interest in buying tickets.
How's that work? It's sold out.
Well,
they told one chick
subtlety.
No, you don't. They told the one chick, they're like, no, you don't have to promote it. We're already sold out. We're just selling more tickets.
Oh man, the subtlety of how stupid that is just fantastic. It's
well,
just fantastic.
Well, on top of that, and I think this is part of the work, is I think because first off, when I first contacted Cisco was when there was a lot of where they'd started seeding the idea that the event was going to be moved to a different venue, which I ran down leads on that.
I forgot. That had to have been intentional, right?
It was. It was
that would have, the intent would have been, don't bother trying to serve because you don't know where we're going to be, smoke and mirrors.
And you mentioned one time in the email where Cisco was trying to fish info out of you. The one time he was trying to fish info out of me is I asked him, I was like, does the promoter of this event is he not afraid or aware of all the shit that could go wrong with Ralph being associated with it? And he's like, what could go wrong? What do you mean when you say things could go wrong? He's trying to fish me to say, yeah, it's very fucking subtle. And that's what I gave that message. I tweeted out on my timeline. I'd listed out the big long thing. I was like, first off, with Ralph, and this is after I'd also asked him, I was like, because at this point, literally a ticket holder had messaged me, like, hey, do you know where the event's going to be? Because I don't know where the event's going to be. I've got an email and a ticket, but no location. And it's like, okay. So I messaged Cisco, I was like, hey, man, you only have to tell me where the venue is. When is Ralph going to let the ticket holders know where it is? Because I've got a ticket holder that doesn't know where to fucking go. He's like, oh no, we're gonna do that on the day of. Wow, it's fucking crazy shit. But during this time too, like just before I started messaging Cisco, is when the chum was getting put in the water that the venue was about to move. And it's funny because Cisco tried to fish that information. What do you mean stuff could go wrong? What kind of stuff? And I have to imagine that was him and Ralph trying to fish something out of me, like, what kind of A-log is going to happen? And that's when I said in that big long message, is like, look, these AAW people, and I'm not going to mention any names, so if I found the people behind AAW, these people on Reddit, especially in the local wrestling scene, should know exactly who they are. It was funny too, because he was playing coy with me, like, I don't want to burn any bridges till after Ralphomania. So when I found out who was behind AAW,
still the best. That's the best thing. I want to wait till this big. I'm gonna be the next
my message to him. My message to Cisco was just that name. I just messaged him 2 names. He's like, "How did you find them?" I'm just like, "Are you fucking kidding me?" Well, I gave him the fucking watermarked fucking response of, I'm a fucking journalist. Finding out shit is what I do. But I'm just like, dude, I know it's AAW that you're fucking working with. It's not hard to figure out who runs AAW. Especially when just like last month, they're on a fucking no-name YouTube podcast by their real name.
Well, it's like, and the easiest thing to do was like, because I was trying to hunt down the time for the cops. And so I called the venue and I'm like, do you guys have any idea when this event on this day is happening? And they're like, no, we know it's happening, but there's no flyers hanging up. But here's the fucking number for the promoter and the organizer. I'm like, thanks. And so reached out to that guy. I had my kid reach out to him. My oldest son, just so because he has his phone has a different area code and stuff. Because you never know who's involved.
Hold on, Mr. Vickers. You had your kid reached out?
My adult one, he's a grown-up. But I just said send this number. Yeah, send this number a text. It's my phone. I own it.
But it's your kid, Mr. Vickers. You're putting him in danger.
Oh God. You know how happy he was? Because I usually like the 18-year-old boy like constantly is like, hey, let me get in on some of this. Because it's funny because everybody's like, Vickers makes his kid. I don't. Has anybody ever had a sibling? Do you know how much I had to hold back? Like, first of all, because I think, let's see, my oldest son was 16 when this happened. Like 16 to 24 is send them off to war. Why?
Yeah.
Because they just genetically, physiologically want to fight. I mean, that's what they're built to do, to either get a mate or whatever, but from an animal level. So if anybody had any idea how much I had to hold back the two teenage boys from just going ape shit, they probably, the very few morons out there who are like, Vickers getting his kids involved, wouldn't say that because no, I try to keep them out of it, out of the fray, but sometimes I can't. And sometimes if I need somebody to send a text, I just tell them to send a fucking text.
Well, and
I'll give you a pro tip real quick because you were talking about you had him do it for the area code reason.
That's one of the reasons.
Pro tip. If you ever want to do anything phone related on the internet and you don't want it to quite link back to you, all you gotta do is make a Google voice number, but make sure that it always has the 901 Memphis, Tennessee area code. There's no way anybody can figure out who the fuck that links back to as long as you use the Memphis 901 area code. I can't tell you how many Google voice numbers I have run across. And harassing women, weirdly enough.
So weird.
Starts with 901. They're all from Memphis 10. Like, the people from Memphis, Tennessee really like to fucking harass women online with burner Google numbers. It's fucking weird.
It's straight. It's an epidemic. All right. Sorry. Moving on.
Well, no, I was also just going to say that, yeah, I mean, it makes sense that the two older, brothers would want to take action because if you've ever had a sister who's been messed with or just in general, I mean, brothers are protective of their sisters, or they should be, just by default. That's how shit naturally works.
And big sister or little sister, because the fact of the matter is, even though like she's now 21 and her youngest brother is 5 years old, in 10 years that 5-year-old's going to be bigger than she is. Because he's a guy. All the brothers are going to end up being more physically formidable. What?
We're canceled. You're being sexist.
Yeah, we're canceled.
Okay, then cancel. I mean, it's just fucking physiology.
You could say the gamer words, but to say that there's a difference between male and female, how dare you? How dare you?
Yeah.
I don't even want to be associated with you anymore.
Fuck science. Yeah. Anyway. But yeah, no. So it's just like there's, and who are now all these uncles really protective of? Not just their sister, but their little cousin or little nephew.
Yeah, nephew.
So there's just this, especially in the next 10 years, Xander will be, almost 12, but my youngest son will be 15 by then, so almost fully grown, and then all the other ones are going to be adult and full grown ass men, and then there's just this fucking brick wall of Vickers, around people who, I don't. 10 years from now, I'll be 55, so I won't be quiet in the old feeble area, and I mean, I'll still be well armed. So it's just gonna be a mess. It's gonna be a messy situation for fuckers who come around looking for trouble. I don't envy them.
I'll still be older and crippled, and who knows? Maybe I'll be nationally syndicated by then, but I don't know. But yeah.
Sam, I think that you have a better chance of being the next Rush Limbaugh than Michael Sissio has of being a famous wrestler.
Well,
I know that's not saying much, but you can dream, buddy, and I believe in you.
Well, yeah. Well, and that's the other thing too, is there were some people on Twitter who were saying that some of these amateur wrestlers, usually how this works is usually these amateur wrestlers are trying to get into either AEW or WWE, and by being in this type of event, especially with the way WWE is
nobody wants to touch it
right now.
Nobody wants to touch it because WWE is kind of woke, so they don't want to be associated with people that are doing this I can't breathe bullshit.
Yeah, or rape her, just to be even more blunt. That's not gonna fly. And I saw I saw one of Ethan Ralph's tweets that said, well, Brittany Jade was the most paid one there, but that doesn't negate the fact that she was still harassed. So
yeah, no, what's the limit, right? Like, we paid her that's Ralph, he bought a bunch of shit for Alice too, and then said he got something for it. So that's Ralph's whole thing. It's like he kept going on like, I'm feeding Faith and she's costing me money when she was there. It's like, you say you love her and want her.
I'm just going to say it now. Just because Ralph subscribed to her OnlyFans in addition to paying her a contract fee doesn't mean that doesn't add into her pay. Okay, That's not how that works.
Yeah, and Hoax Wars just asked, why are you all so giddy at the idea of a guy's dreams might be crushed for working for Ethan Ralph? I'm not. I, for one, am not.
Schadenfreude.
It's because the dream is so fucking ridiculous to begin with from that guy, and the reasoning that he gives. I don't actually think he actually wants that. Do you, Genius Anus?
I don't know if he does or not. For me, it's just I'm a big fan of comeuppance, and the fact that he tried to, with Ethan Ralph, work anybody. I don't know what the fuck he worked us with, and then I told him. We all gave him all this good advice, and I flat out told him, I was like, if you want to be an independent wrestler, you do not want to be associated with Ralphomania. It is going to blow up, and you are going to end up getting blacklisted, and then Ralph is going to run to Mexico and fucking hide there like a coward.
Yeah, and to answer, Hoax Wars, I guess, a little, to answer it a little clearer, is the guy, like, apparently was trying to do this work where he's reaching out to Genius and Anus and I for advice on how to leave, to get out of Ralph's web of influence, and we gave him honest advice, right, as if we were helping him. And
I didn't come out like I didn't go hard against him until him and Ralph came out.
Until we figured out that it was an op, because it's the stupidest op in the history of ops ever. It's so weird and ridiculous. But that, and also anybody who's like best friends with a convicted sex offender, I could give a shit what happens to their life,
right?
And it turns out that's what he is. He wasn't actually trying to leave or get out of the sphere or anything else. So, I don't actually.
And like I have a bit of a moral and ethical code. I try to go by the ethical code of like journalism, like minimize harm to victims, and I'm not going to try to drag anybody that didn't willingly step into the arena and everything. So I'm not just going to go willy-nilly after fucking anybody, but come the fuck on. If you're going to try to work me over like that with me being genuine with you, and you're gonna, you obviously know all of this bad shit about Ralph. You know Ralph's fucking history. You're not ignorant. You're not ignorant to the fact that he's a piece of shit that goes after people that fucking make him unhappy, right? Which is basically anything with a fucking pulse, animal, human, or otherwise, or human-animal hybrid. I mean, human animal hybrids honestly get the worst because he fucking marries them. That's fucking sad.
Who's Tiny Chud in chat?
I don't know, but they're pretty cool.
Eat fat, even fat Mr. Vickers sounds semi-normal. I am semi-normal, and I do love my pudge. And I'm sorry I'm wearing a brown shirt. It's not slimming, but I just hope, Tiny Chud, you're not getting too turned on. Try to hold it in, buddy. Try to hold it in.
Listen, Tiny Chud is a friend of Apex's.
Is he Tiny Bee Productions? Is it Tiny Bird?
Yep.
Okay.
That
Apex
guy
said, you know what? Apex said you're good people, Tiny Chud. So,
go
ahead and get turned on then. If
Tiny Chud, I have to apologize because a few months ago I thought you were Ralph. So, man,
you need to apologize a lot harder if you.
But
I seeded you for an entire show. I've never seeded anybody for an entire show. Oh, hold on. Max Sand knows something we don't. Max, tell us who it is.
Hey, Max says Apex is wrong. Well, Apex is.
No, this is a civil war. There's a civil war in chat going. I know usually chat always wins, but sometimes it's fun to watch chat break out into civil war.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. I'm not trying to derail anything. Continue, Sammy. It's your
Steal. And by the way, I'm not taking call-ins tonight. However, if you do want to ask questions, you can super chat me, and
there you go. Give Sammy some money. I'll answer anything.
Sam's taking a note out of Nick Ricada's book.
If you pay Sam, I'll answer fucking anything. You may not like the answer, but I'll answer it.
The link is in the description. If I'll start taking calls when I can get regular call screeners in. We're gonna do this if I'm gonna start taking calls, we're gonna do a call screener, and I'm gonna go back to the roots of radio. So that's the deal, and I am looking at getting that down the line at some point. But
you need to have a midget in the background screening calls. Fuck off, hang up. Fuck off, hang up. That's usually the best way to screen calls from internet people.
Yeah.
And think about it too. They could act as decoration for different holidays. May the 4th, they can dress as Ewok. Fucking during March, they can dress as a fucking leprechaun.
I meant little person. I'm sorry. I keep forgetting all the shit I'm not allowed to say.
Listen, Apex.
During November, they can dress up as a manlet pig.
Listen, Apex and I have both said so much shit on this channel, but like the stuff that this channel has gotten struck for, I'm like, wow, why has it gotten struck for the minute shit? But it's never gotten struck for any of this shit.
Mama Susan is a weird but cruel mistress.
Yeah, she is.
I think it's because she's Polish.
Well, she's in the pocket.
I'll be right back, guys.
Kids
need something.
Of Eric Schmidt. I do know that. Let's see. So is there really anything else to Ralphomania? Do you think anything else that we need to cover?
I can't think of anything other than like the little bit of serving and A-loggery, and the fact that so many A-logs managed to fucking just completely trounce any type of countermeasure Ralph had. Like, Ralphomania was pretty fucking boring. It was everything I expected it to be, and I'm pretty sure that everybody kind of got their money's worth on it, but it is honestly kind of boring from my perspective, other than just like a few bright moments where fucking you're watching the stream and all of a sudden you notice a sticker on the corner of the fucking wrestling ring that wasn't there before, or what I was trying to do is I was trying to spot the Confederates in the crowd, which I don't think, other than the obvious ones, I found any of them.
Yeah, I mean, it was actually pretty underwhelming event.
The wrestling was fucking terrible, man. And I'm not into wrestling. Number one, but number two, the wrestling for this fucking event was horrible.
I mean, to be fair, I wasn't expecting them to do like, WWE style, wrestling.
I wasn't either. Like I've seen independent wrestling, okay? Like, and the one thing I will say is that while it was, again, I'm not a wrestling person, so I don't have much of a valid opinion in this area to begin with. But the one thing I will say is that of the contracted wrestlers that were there, they did seem to me to have their heart in it, and they were very athletic.
Yeah.
It just wasn't a very well put together show, and it's probably because I don't even think they did any type of rehearsal. I don't think they had any type of fucking planning on what the fucking. I think it was just fucking. They showed up 3 hours before the event, and Ralph said, "Do this, this, and this," or Michael Cisco said, "Do da 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 da." So I can't fault what I'm saying is when I say that it was like really bad wrestling, I'm saying that because I think the production of the show was fucking the cause, not because I think the wrestlers themselves were bad.
Yeah, well, and just to kind of reiterate, at least for me, I don't want to see anyone's career ruined necessarily because of this. But again, just knowing how politically correct everything is, if these days, if anyone wants to get into pro wrestling, this is not the event that you want to have on your
wrestling. It's acting. I think it's acting. I don't know why we call it. It has athletic base to it, but it's still acting.
I've always called it live action stuntman.
Stuntmen are actors.
It's roughly based off of like.
Actually, no, stuntmen are not actors, except for Tom Cruise and Keanu Reeves.
It's theater is what it is.
I still say stuntmen are actors. They're still playing a part, if not less than the actual actor. We'll agree to disagree.
To me, it's normally the acting that's my least favorite fucking part of it. Even back in the Attitude Era, I'm just like, this is a fucking soap opera.
That's what pro wrestling essentially is. It's a soap opera. So, but anyway, well, I don't think there's a whole lot else to cover here. I know that you're going to be going over some of the stuff on Thursday.
How does Fat Vickers know about athleticism? Because I watch movies. We just covered it. Jesus Christ. Pay attention.
Well, and also, I mean,
I watched a Bowflex DVD promotion.
Yeah. I see those all the time. I lift weight. You know how much fucking lightweight curls it takes to just put food in your mouth all the fucking time? You do. I know Tiny Guy does because
I work out my table muscle all the time, okay?
Tiny Chud missed my whole bit about people who hate women being gay. Tiny Chud, you need to go back and review that, buddy, because come to terms. It's okay. It's okay. Nobody's going to judge you.
Much.
Well, and also Tiny Chud, I realize that it's MLK Day. And if you are at Apex's Black Friend, as you claim, well then...
Oh, shit. Is this still MLK Day?
I'm sorry about that statue.
Vickers see what is people's definition of seething? Because I don't think people listen to me.
Okay, hang on. I do have a PSA. I have a PSA because Sam just reminded me it's fucking MLK.
Oh yeah.
To anybody that is fucking confused or upset because that MLK statue doesn't have a head, I might politely suggest to you, that you probably pick up a history book and go look at the history of MLK. I'm just saying, if you read the history, you might figure out why it doesn't have a head. I'm just saying. Sorry, that's just been my favorite thing with that fucking statue. Like, why doesn't it have a head?
I'm not even sure what that statue is. It looks phallic more. It looks phallic more than anything.
See, I don't see the phallic part of it, or some people say it looks like a blowjob or sex or whatever. I just see a big fat turd. But my favorite one is people complaining because there's no head, and I'm like, that's historically accurate. I don't know what to tell you. The head is on the wall behind it. Okay.
Oh, is he a council of evil faggot?
No, I don't think.
I doubt that he's managed to type coherent sentences.
Well, Max Sand seems to know who he is.
He's not council.
He's not actually. He's an independent gun guard.
Nah, Chad's not even a gun. Gun guard.
Well, it depends on if it's the guy that I think it is. Anyway, he's just trying to stir shit up. Who cares?
He just likes to talk trash, which is fine.
Better at it. He's got to get better at it though.
So,
he's practicing. That's how you get to Carnegie Hall, man. Practice.
Well, I mean, no one's gonna talk more shit than Genius Anus. His face is
literally.
That's what I do, man.
It's literally that of an ass.
I don't see why people get so upset with me. I am the literal incarnation of truth in advertising.
It's the same guy.
Right.
Anyway, I give him a pass because I like Apex, and Apex says he's okay. He's just a troll. We all got to fill our days somehow, man.
But Tiny, it seems kind of like you're seething there with your last comment, which I can't read because YouTube will,
seethe.
YouTube will pull him out of his chair and then clap his cheeks. It will clap his crippled cheeks. Do you want his crippled cheeks to be clapped?
Well, I'm sure there's some degenerate out there that would like that, but anyway.
Some degenerate that gets turned on by neuropathy.
After all the shit I've seen.
I'm sorry. I forget how our haters are. That was a big word. Neuropathy. That means you can't feel anything below the waist.
I do. Yeah. If I don't know if anyone has seen House MD, that show, but
it's lupus. It's fucking lupus.
It's always lupus.
We used to play when we watched House MD. We take a shot for every time they mention something that they've tested Ariana for. Oh man, we could never get through a full episode.
The talk about shows that could not be made today.
Married with children.
Yeah, like all of them. Yeah. You couldn't even make Office today, and it's relatively speaking not that old. But I mean, they were talking about reboots, and like everybody involved with that show was like, we couldn't do it. We couldn't get away with it.
One of my favorite Married with Children scenes is when the fat women come in and do a protest around 1, 2, 3, 4. We demand something. He's like 4, 5, 6, 8. You're gonna fall straight to the floor or something like that.
Yeah. It probably actually rhymed in the show.
It did. It's been a while since I watched the fucking show, but I fucking love that show. But, speaking of shit that couldn't be made today, we are getting one of those made. Have y'all seen that History of the World Part 2 got announced?
No.
Yeah, Mel Brooks has officially announced History of the World Part 2. And I'm calling it now. It's either going to be exactly what we wanted or a complete fucking trash fire. And it entirely depends on how much control Mel Brooks has on it.
Isn't Mel Brooks like 100 or something? He's like in his 90s.
He's pretty fucking old.
I'm gonna find out right now.
His son is old. I think Mel Brooks himself is like 92, 94.
Wait a second.
Because Mel Brooks' son is like 60 or 70.
Yeah,
fact, I'm not even seeing Mel Brooks' name associated with this.
He recorded the
Johnny
thing for
Knoxville.
it.
Hoax Wars says he's 96.
That sounds about right. I know
he was
he's
born,
up there.
June of 26. So just do the math from this. So it'd be 97. He'll be 97 in June. Yeah. Late June.
Old man. But he's Jewish. He's got like another 12 years in him easy.
So
everybody's just gonna ignore that.
Are they long lived? Is that a thing?
I mean, most of them I've seen are pretty damn old.
Yeah.
I think it has to do with wearing a nipple on their head.
That's the case for sure.
The fucking. Then, of course, now that I've said nipple on the head, that just reminds me of Marilyn Manson. Put a nipple on your head, but you can't laugh the darkness away.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, I'm paying way too much attention to IMDb. Back to this. Fuck. Get me off on hyperlink tangents.
IMDb is always fun though. I wonder if Ralph Mania is gonna get linked on IMDb at some point. I'm surprised it hasn't already.
I think you have to be relevant. I mean, the creator of Ralphomania isn't even relevant enough for a Wikipedia page.
Oh, it's too bad.
It's fucking great too, because technically that's still a win for Ralph, because he only lost his Wikipedia page after a very long and arduous battle to get his sex offender conviction accurately put onto it. So technically that's a win for Ralph, but it was still a loss because he lost it for being irrelevant. He literally can't win. He fucking can't win.
Yep. And sorry, Tiny Chud, there are certain comments, again, YouTube's not gonna let you make, so gotta Janet ya. But
no.
Anyway, it's just the same. You Ethan Ralph, the whole basis.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah.
So I just want to hear something fucking original for once.
It's already been debunked too.
Smells like Team Spirit.
But well, gentlemen, I think that will just do it for the show. Anything you want to promote, either of you?
I got nothing, man. I was expecting to be able to kick back and watch Rafflemania. I was never expecting to have to come back out and take a fucking lap.
Yeah, then I rarely self-promote, but Thursday we'll be doing Good, Bad, and the Vicious at the normal time, 6 p.m. Pacific, 9 p.m. Eastern, and pretty much just be talking about this stuff again to the people who watch my channel.
All four of them.
All four of them who can stick it out through all the fucking technical difficulties and me forgetting to plug my fucking me having to remember to plug physically into my router instead of remembering
to hit go live.
Yeah, all that shit. It's no fun if I don't do something wrong.
Well, and sorry I stole your whole show material for for Thursday. But,
I love this. I love the sound of my own voice. I will say it all again, and I will laugh again because it will always be funny.
Well, hey, I love the sound of my voice too. That's why I've been doing podcasting for.
That's why we do
so
this.
long.
Nobody loves the sound of my voice, but I don't care.
It's growing on me. It's growing on me.
Oh,
great! It's fungus. Awesome.
Yeah, you fucking beat me to it. All right.
Fucking fungus among us.
I actually do like this. I actually do like your southern whatever.
That is the one thing that everybody points out that they like. I don't fucking know why.
Oh, it's not the southern part. I fucking hate that. It's the no. It's I had a ton of Genius Anus and Akiba are literally two of the earliest people who I got to know, and then kind of got to know in reality. But from like the first, like before Faith ever got back, who were like nice and professional and not total fucking idiots. So I've been in contact with them for a long time, and it wasn't until I didn't hear Akaba's voice until he recorded his actual promo that I posted, or his intro that I posted on the Meet Your Panelist on my channel. And I hadn't heard Genius Anus's voice until the first time he came on the show. And I was like, this motherfucker's voice is way deeper than I imagined. Way fucking deeper. He said, because Akaba's came in and it was almost exactly as I had pictured Akaba would sound. And then I knew
kind of girly.
I knew Genius Anus was from the South. I knew that much. And so I expected the Southern part, but I did not expect the this
baritone.
Baritone, yeah. He's not he's a low octave.
I've got one drop into the black, you know. Not African American, like Blackfoot Indian.
All right, that's all I had.
Yeah, all I have to promote for so far is I am doing my birthday stream tomorrow. That's the holiday.
Oh, happy birthday!
That's the holiday everyone should be celebrating. Well, thank you, Mr. Vickers, and thank you once again for my 30 pieces of silver.
You can split it into 30 pieces, but you'll ruin it if you do.
Yeah.
I was going to send Gator. I didn't do it. I was going to send Gator 30 silver dimes just so he'd have 30 pieces of silver. But I'm like, I forgot to do it. But that would have been a fun joke.
But yeah, this is I guess this is proof that I'm officially on the Vickers payroll, which spoiler.
If I keep getting accused for it, I better do it.
Yeah, you don't want to be a liar on the internet. That's fucking terrible.
What you fucking do?
I think what we interact mainly on Twitter. I mean, and I'm the part of the story that I love is that Mr. Vickers hired this guy to do a PR thing for his to make him look good, to make him and his family look good. It's true that public relations is one of the things that I studied in college, but damn, that's a really elaborate. If you think Vickers hired me to do my own show and let him on,
I had to do something because there's so much negative stuff.
Yeah. So, but anyway, so I'll be posting the link to the birthday stream tomorrow at 10. Hopefully, Apex will show up, and maybe Akaba too. I don't know, but anyway, hopefully I'll see you all then. And gentlemen, thank you guys for coming on the show, and
thanks for having us. For me,
I appreciate it, Sammy, and I do have some stuff in the works. I'm still trying to get you your Make-A-Wish stream gift. If it falls through, I'll kind of get you. Look, you know how hard it is to get people to come on this show when they have no idea who he is and they don't understand how awesome this show is. Well, I'm trying to get some Make-A-Wish happening, okay?
Well, as Max Sand said it, Sammy is the hidden gem of the internet, so I will take it.
Also, anybody that I send to you to have on your show, you're totally dying of ass cancer, okay? It's just don't ask me any questions because play along with it. His asshole just fell out and then became, active on Twitter. It was fucking terrible. The family was traumatized. But his one wish is that you would come onto his internet show and spend the last few days of his mortal coil with him.
So Genius Anus is basically like indirectly my spawn somehow. That makes
that's the canon. That's the lore, man.
I'm not sure how indirect it was, but
that's why Sam's in the wheelchair, and now everybody knows his ass fell off and became fucking an animate talking asshole on the internet.
Okay. Now I get the full picture. I get the story.
That actually makes it a lot of sense because my ass would have a southern accent if it could talk.
Shouldn't have went to Florida, man.
Yeah.
Yep.
That Florida Georgia line, buddy.
That's what happens. And no show this coming Saturday because I will be on the other side of Florida taking a mini vacation. So that's why we're doing multiple shows this week. But anyway, gentlemen, I hate to keep you. I can be long-winded too, but
we've only been trying to end the stream for 3 hours, so we're about right on track.
We've only made it to 2, so pretty good time actually.
Yeah, but you were trying to end it before the show started, is what I'm saying.
Yeah. So anyway, though, thank you, folks, and see you tomorrow. And if not, then we'll see you some point next week. Later.
Later.
Thanks for listening to The Whitfield Report on the NGC Network. Please visit Sam's website at www.thesamwhitfield.com and support Sam on Patreon at patreon.com/Whitfield Report. Until next time, God bless, God save this great nation, and God, freedom, legacy, in that order.